You are training people to disregard you right now, and you remain completely unaware of the lesson you are teaching. I have spent 40 years observing human behavior in this country. I have listened to countless individuals describe the exact same struggle. Someone does not honor them. A supervisor, a sibling, a partner, a neighbor, and they desperately want to know how to force that person to change. They want a script. They want a technique. They want a way to manipulate the outcome so they feel safe again. After 4 decades of watching this pattern repeat, I finally understood something that most people never grasp. You cannot force anyone to respect you. That is not the mechanism of respect. It never has been. But you can stop performing the actions that actively invite disregard into your existence. I need you to understand something before we proceed. I am not here to comfort you. I am not going to tell you to stand before a mirror and recite positive mantras or visualize your ideal life or any of that empty noise. What I am going to tell you comes from watching thousands of interactions and seeing the patterns hold true across generations. Here is the first thing. Cease offering elaborate justifications for your choices. I mean this seriously. Every time someone questions a decision you have made and you launch into a detailed defense, you are sending a signal. The signal is that your decisions require their permission, that you need them to understand and agree before you can move forward. You are handing them the gavel and asking them to judge you. Psychology has repeatedly shown that excessive self-justification is linked to lower perceived confidence and authority. When you explain yourself to people who have no legitimate right to require an explanation, you position yourself beneath them in the hierarchy. You make yourself smaller. You signal that their opinion holds more weight than your own instinct. I served on a community board once. A woman named Martha who could not understand why the chairman treated her like a subordinate. Every time the chairman questioned something, a budget allocation, an event plan, anything, this woman would spend 10 minutes defending herself. She would present data, she would cite reasons, and the chairman just kept questioning because the explaining itself was the issue. The explaining said, "I need you to validate this." I made a suggestion. The next time the chairman asks why you did something, say, "Because I decided to," and then say nothing else. She looked at me like I had suggested she stop speaking English. She could not imagine it. She thought respect was earned through logic. But she tried it, and she called me 2 weeks later, shaken. She said the chairman had been confused at first, then annoyed, and then for the first time she could remember, actually respectful. The endless explanations had been training the chairman to expect a vote on every decision. When she stopped, the dynamic shifted. The power returned to where it belonged. Here is the second thing, and this one is harder. You need to become comfortable with silence. I do not mean the kind of silence where you are angry inside and planning your comeback. I mean actual silence. When someone says something disrespectful to you, you do not have to respond immediately. You do not have to respond at all. Research has shown that people who respond instantly to provocation are perceived as more reactive and less authoritative than those who pause. Silence is a choice. It communicates something powerful. It says, "I am not going to play this game with you." It says your behavior is beneath my response. I had a family gathering years ago where a cousin was constantly making condescending jokes at my expense. He clearly did not take me seriously. He thought he was being funny. I came away frustrated. I had tried everything, correcting him, laughing it off, making jokes back. Nothing worked. I suggested I try something different. The next time he made a joke, I should stop talking, not argue, not protest, just stop, and then look at him. Just look, do nothing else. He thought it was ridiculous, but I tried it. I stopped mid-conversation, turned and looked at him for maybe 5 seconds. I said the room went completely still. He actually stumbled over his words, trying to fill the silence I had created. He never made those jokes again. What I understood in that moment was that his comments were designed to provoke a reaction. They fed on my frustration. When I refused to provide that reaction, when I just looked at him in silence, I took away everything he was hoping to get. I starved the behavior until it died. The third thing, and I need you to really hear this, you must be willing to lose the relationship. I know that sounds extreme, but it is the foundation of everything else. If you are not willing to walk away from a relationship where you are consistently disregarded, you have already told the other person they can treat you however they want. You have already communicated that your need for the connection exceeds your need for dignity. They know this consciously or not. They know it, and they will act accordingly. You have given them the blueprint for your own mistreatment. I am not saying you should abandon people at the first sign of conflict. That would be absurd. Relationships require work. But you must have a line, a real line, not a line you keep moving every time they push against it. I learned this in the most painful way possible. My best friend Sarah and I had a difficult relationship for years. She felt I was too involved in her financial decisions, and she was right. I was. But when she confronted me about it, I could not admit I was wrong. My pride would not allow it. So I defended myself. I explained. I justified. I did everything I just told you not to do. And then one day she stopped calling 15 years ago. I have not heard her voice in 15 years. I respect her for it, even as it breaks my heart. She was willing to lose the relationship with her own friend to preserve her autonomy and her peace. I wish I had been capable of the same clarity when I was younger. I wish I had known when to stop talking. I wish I had valued her boundary more than my own ego. The fourth thing, stop trying to change how people feel about you and start paying attention to what you will and will not accept. This is the mistake almost everyone makes. They focus on the other person. How do I make them respect me? How do I get them to see my value? How do I convince them I am worthy? This is backwards, completely backwards. You cannot control how another person perceives you. What you can control is what you allow into your life, what behavior you tolerate, what treatment you accept. A homeowner once asked me how to make a contractor stop dismissing her concerns. I asked her what happened when he dismissed her. She said she would argue with him, try to make her case, sometimes for hours. I said, what if you just left the site? What if the moment he dismissed you, you simply stood up and walked out? No explanation, no announcement, just gone. She was horrified. She said he would think she was unstable. I said maybe. Or maybe he would learn that dismissing you has consequences that you are not available for that kind of treatment. She tried it. The first time he was stunned. The second time he was angry. The third time, before he could dismiss her, he caught himself. He started thinking before he spoke. She had not changed his mind about her. She had changed what she was willing to accept. And that changed everything. She reclaimed her power, not by arguing, but by leaving. The fifth thing, this is the one nobody wants to hear. You have to examine whether you actually respect yourself. Because here is the uncomfortable truth that 40 years of observation taught me. People who genuinely respect themselves rarely have chronic problems with disregard from others. Not because disrespectful people do not exist, they absolutely exist, but because people with genuine self-respect do not stick around for it. They do not tolerate it. They do not make excuses for it. They leave. They create distance. They enforce their own value through their choices and their behavior. If you are constantly finding yourself in situations where you are disregarded, I am not going to tell you it is your fault. That would be simplistic and cruel. The world is hard. But I am going to ask you to look honestly at why you stay. What you are getting out of these relationships that keeps you there despite the cost, because there is always something. Fear of being alone, financial dependency, family pressure, the hope that things will get better. These are real, I understand them, but they are also the chains that keep you in place while someone treats you poorly. And at some point, you have to decide which matters more, the relationship or your dignity. I chose wrong with my friend. I chose my pride over the relationship. She chose differently. She chose her autonomy. And even though it has cost me 15 years of her life, I understand why she did it. I would do it differently now. I would have apologized. I would have changed, but I did not have the wisdom then that I have now. That is why I am talking to you. So you do not have to learn these things the way I did. I am 69 years old. I have listened to more confessions about disregard than I can count. And here is what I know. You cannot make anyone respect you, but you can respect yourself so thoroughly, so completely, that disregard simply has no place to land. You can stop explaining yourself to people who have not earned explanations. You can learn to sit in silence while someone waits for you to react. You can be willing to lose what does not serve you. You can pay attention to what you accept, rather than trying to change what others believe. I am not going to pretend this is easy. I failed at most of it for decades. I am still failing at some of it. But I am telling you anyway because maybe you will listen. Maybe you will save yourself the time I wasted. Maybe you will call your friend before it is too late.